So today our guest speaker is Danny Cox, who is the Vice President of Guest Experience at Breeze Airways and is a 20-year veteran of the airline industry. He also happens to be the father of Belle Cox, who is here in this class. So thank you very much, Belle, for making the introduction to your dad. Prior to Breeze, Danny spent 14 years with JetBlue and also consulted for Azul Airlines in Brazil. Danny has a bachelor's degree from SUU and an associate's degree from Utah Tech University, which used to be known as Dixie. He has 5 kids. He lives in Lehi, Utah, but he grew up in Orderville, Utah, which is down south, if anybody knows. Anybody know where Orderville is? Yeah, there we go. So please welcome Danny Cox.
Thank you so much. And you guys got an awesome teacher. I was grateful to meet you in person here. Let's have some fun. Who likes to fly places? Who likes to travel in general? Awesome. When was the last time somebody's been on a flight? Yesterday? Perfect, that's awesome. Thank you for flying. It's great. We're gonna talk a little bit about airlines in general. We'll talk a little bit about entrepreneurship in the airline industry. I work for a gentleman by the name of David Nealon. I worked for him at Breeze. My mentor went with him to Azul. Sorry, I worked for him at JetBlue. My mentor went with him down to Azul in Brazil and started Azul with him. And he has started 5 airlines. We'll talk a little bit about that from the entrepreneurship. And then we'll talk a little bit specifically and selfishly about what I specifically do at Breeze and how, if you like to travel, it might be a pretty cool job for you to have that has some flexibility to it. So, all right. So one of our goals in traveling, it may come as a huge surprise to you, but sometimes people like to complain about things. And airlines has typically been one of those things that they like to complain about it. And especially if you talk to any of your grandparents, they remember that flying used to be this elite thing you did. You got your coat and tie on, and you were dressed up, and when you were on there, they came out and they gave you a full meal. In a free market, and as everything changes, there's certainly still an experience for that. They're called private jet owners. They're people who fly only first class. That's still experience. But as the market opened it up and they saw that the people who couldn't afford to fly like that, there's other opportunities and the things that they value most, which is getting from point A to point B. They didn't care about the food, they didn't care about the luxury of the city, they just wanted to get maybe to go see grandma or something like that. So we are trying to carve exactly the niche in the middle there. We want it to be an experience that is memorable, enjoyable, but we want to provide it at a time and a cost that is very reasonable for the individuals. Breeze has been in existence. So I've been at Breeze since the very beginning. I'm one of the 8 founders at Breeze. And we were going to start in February of 2020. Anybody remember February of 2020? Would that have been a good time to start an airline? Might have been a horrible time to start an airline. So we were all panicked come March of 2020, very panicked, worried about it. Nobody was getting paid, but we survived that and we started flying. Our website launched on May 21st and our first flight was May 27th of 2021. So we were glad to survive the pandemic. Many people were glad to survive the pandemic. These are the criteria by which we try to judge ourselves every single day and look through every decision we make. I encourage you, I invite you to think of a set of principles you're going to live your life by as you think of businesses you might want to start or you might want to do. Have it be some centered and focused principles at which you're going to go off of. These are the ones that we chose as the founders of Breeze. And every single day we have to look at every single decision. Was it kind? Did we use ingenuity? Did we strive for excellence in what we were doing? And then in aviation, everything has to be looked at through the lens of safety. We cannot ever not look at it through the lens of safety. So, all right, I need some feedback from you. What do you think of the logo? We got some, somebody said something, what? It looks like Verizon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Verizon and Degree, what is common with Verizon and Degree? Check mark, you said that. What if we didn't call it a check mark? Look closely at what you're calling a check mark. Say that a little bit louder for me. That's one of the things it is, yes, the plane. You see anything else? What's the plane particularly, specifically doing actually though? It's taking off. We call it, so I'll give you two names. We call it the plane, obviously, and we call it ascent. To us, it's the ascent mark. It means always climbing, always. You can't say keep climbing because that's Delta, by the way. Don't like that. But ascent is what we're trying to do. Anybody see anything else? It was hard for me to see the other things. I actually don't like this part of it either. If I've told you about it before, you can't answer. A rocking chair, because we're all old.
Like laying back.
Not a rocking chair, but I'll take that to marketing. Anybody see a bird with its arms extended above its head? And doing its extent? Anybody seen a bird do that full extent of its wings? Arms? I don't know why I said arms.
Like the ones like.
Wings. So the other way is a bird with its full extent. I don't see it either. The designer was Brazilian. He sees things that are different than what we see. But where's the placement of the ascent mark? We used to have that a slightly off color to highlight the easy. On my jacket, yeah, this is an old jacket, so it has it. Thank you. Belle's adorable. I like her a lot. So we want it over there. That is something that we want. We want the experience to be seamless. We want it to be an opportunity, and we'll talk more about the specific of Breeze, but I think personally, that the airline industry has done a lot to hurt itself over the years because people compartmentalize their experience. They say, this situation I'll only take care of by calling an 800 number and waiting on hold for 5 hours. That's just what you have to do. This experience I can only take care of at the airport. This experience I can only take care of here. We want to remove all those barriers that we can and empower the person going forward with that one. So, and then our most favorite tagline is seriously nice. You saw that nice people flying nice people to nice places is one of our monikers, but seriously nice. So in the entrepreneurial, if you look him up, Mind Leader is, I think, far and away the most entrepreneurial minded individual in aviation. These are the 5 airlines that he is credited with either founding or being a very positive contributing individual on them. Morris Air eventually sold to Southwest, and a lot of the technologies that they developed at Morris Air to make the travel experience easier was one of the things that Southwest, with their breadth, was able to take and propel forward, and it was a fantastic thing. Because after you sell your business for wildly successful thing, what does the business you sold to want to do to you? What's that? Trap you in it. So he went to work for him a little while. But he cannot be trapped. He's a caged badger. You're welcome. By the way, I love you guys for lunch. I ain't a badger. I didn't go here. I know. Good. They make you sign a what if you leave their company? A non-compete. So where did he have to go? To Canada. That's where WestJet is. So we went up to Canada and helped them start a similar model airline up in there. So a few years passed, and boom, back in the United States, what does he start? JetBlue. Any of you ever flown JetBlue? Yeah. You've flown JetBlue? What do you think? You love it? Yeah. Very good. Breeze, we'll talk you to that instead. He said he loved it. That's his stuff. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Ashley came and spoke. Yeah. Oh, Ashley's awesome. Ashley, that's right. She came and spoke. So, yeah. So JetBlue, and then talk about failures and talk about stuff. David and I have a similar thing. JetBlue kicked us out. They kicked him out, the founder out, because he is a dreamer, and sometimes his dreams, operationally, people can't execute to. Super, super valuable lesson that he has learned and he has tried to adapt and change on that side is the dream that I'm building, I gotta make sure that the team has the vision to execute on it and that I'm taking feedback from them on that one. I love how Russ talked about the the failures, a lot of it, all you said was employee was too fast on that one. Knowing what the failure points are and what your weaknesses are, so critical. You've got to know them. It's not bad to have weaknesses. It's horrible to ignore that you have weaknesses, and it's horrible to not adapt to your weaknesses and to learn from them. So he gets kicked out of JetBlue. I say that lovingly, but because I did too. So where does he have to go? Different country, Brazil. Why didn't he start an airline in Brazil? They have very strict laws on only people who are born there and all that kind of stuff. Because during the freak thing, he's like the third child in his family. His dad took an assignment for a short period of time in Brazil. He would happen to be born there, dual citizenship. How was the greatest entrepreneur in the world? He happened to be born in a place that needs the greatest airline travel. What he was competing against when he started Azul down there was two airlines that were government owned. I'm not anti-government stand here, but government owned, very inefficient, very horrible. He was competing against buses. He was competing when he first started selling flights down there. People didn't even know how to fly them. They didn't understand it because they'd only ever been on a bus. This whole, I shouldn't say impoverished, but this whole middle class to lower class individuals never dreamed about getting on a plane down there. He had to teach them how to fly. So he had to actually buy buses to give them a bus and take them out to the airport. While they were going out to the airport, somebody was instructing them on the difference between an airplane and a bus. But they configured the bus a little bit to feel like an airplane, to look like that type of thing. So doing very big things down there. Azul right now is now the largest airline in Brazil. And that's happened over the last 15 years that they've been down there. So it's non-compete with JetBlue's up, so what does he of course do? Comes back home to start Breeze. So this is where Breeze flies. Sorry, Spokane is not on here yet. We just announced a new city. Man, you get bonus points if you know where the new city we just announced. Charleston, West Virginia. Everybody wants to go to West Virginia, right? Anybody notice anything about the places we fly if you were going to categorize the places Breeze flies in general? Florida. Very good. Florida. What do people go to Florida for? Disney World, very good. Anything else you'd characterize about these cities? What'd you say? You said small? Small. San Francisco and LA. Not on the smaller side. But you'll notice something, I hope you know, I'll teach you something here. Do you see Atlanta up there? Do you see Salt Lake up there?
They're not like Delta hubs.
Not Delta hubs, where else? You don't see Houston, you don't see Chicago, you don't see Dallas, you don't see all these. So the airline industry is not hurting. You've got Delta, you've got United, you've got Southwest. They are doing a great job. But during the pandemic, when things got hard, they retrenched back into their hubs. So they can take you from Portland, Maine to San Bernardino, California. How are you going to get there on Delta? Not Chicago, but Atlanta or Minneapolis or Salt Lake, and then you're going to jump on a smaller plane. It's probably operated by SkyWest or something like that, and they're going to take you on their regional stuff. So they'll get you there. They can get you there. And so what Breeze has carved out and what we've noticed is a lot of people want to go from cold to warm in the summer, and a lot of people want to go from excruciatingly hot to mountains and slightly cooler. Sorry, I meant in the winter first, in the summertime to go from there. And so we don't have to fill a plane 5 days a week from one of these locations. We just have to fill it 1 day or 2 days a week, and we go in there. And the other days of the week, we can use that plane to go to one of these other smaller places. And so we can get in a non-competitive environment. What did you guys learn? Have you guys learned about competition? You want a lot of competition? Do you want to enter something that has a lot of competition? Why do you not want to do that? Right? It makes it harder to differentiate and to get in there. So the routes that we fly, about 95% of the routes that we fly, we have non-competitive on direct flights. We have competition for people who are very loyal to Delta and they're Sky Miles. We're never gonna win those folks over. But the person who wants to get to a leisure experience and fly from point A to point B and not have to change their plane, or that want to fly there but are willing to stay on a plane as it stops. We just started Providence to Orange County. Orange County, my two favorite Newports. Providence, Rhode Island has a Newport. You should go there. It's awesome. The Vanderbilt's so cool. And Newport Beach in California is my favorite. We can get there now. The plane routes through Columbus 2 days a week, through Cincinnati 2 days a week, and through Pittsburgh 2 days a week. It routes through there. That plane comes there, people get off, other people stay on, other new people get on. And it is the quickest way by 3 hours to get from Providence to Newport Beach than any other option that exists out there. And it's about half the price. When we opened New Orleans, one of my favorite things about opening New Orleans, I like to talk about this stuff. I'm gonna run out of time, so I'll talk faster here. When I opened New Orleans, a gentleman walked up to me. We tailored mostly to leisure travelers, people that are taking their families on vacations and going there. That's our bread and butter. This gentleman comes up to me. I'm a horrible person, so I stereotype individuals. It's like, this is not a leisure traveler. He's dressed like a business traveler. He comes up to me and he says, I just gotta thank you for being here. You saved me 8 hours and $400. I said, tell me more about that. He's like, well, normally I have to fly from here to Tulsa, from New Orleans to Tulsa. It doesn't look very far on that map. 8 hours? You can drive it in 10 and a half. And save $400 because he used to have to fly from Tulsa either down to Dallas on America or down to Houston on United to get over to New Orleans. But he had to go there every week, and he couldn't. His time was super valuable. He couldn't take 10 hours on that one. So to save him that time and that money was something that was super, super beneficial to him. So, does anybody know what NPS is? What do you use it to measure? This is another. I'm saying stuff like you get bonus points. I don't know what they're good for, but anybody know what NPS is? How about customer satisfaction measures? Is customer satisfaction important? You want your customers to like you, unless you're Spirit Airlines or Allegiant. You only want to use it one time, and then they leave, never come back. Sorry, I'm slamming all my competitors. We hate competitors, but so people have historically kind of hated airlines. As you see this curve up here, and sorry if you can't see it very well, but groups that have been the most loved groups historically have been in the like a Costco, like an insurance company, USAA. I don't know why everybody loves them, but they love them on that one. But in 2021, people loved airlines. Why did people love airlines in 2021? What were they competing against? Were we competing against other airlines then? We were competing against people's freaking basements. And they were sick of being in their basements. And so they loved us. This is the highest our industry's ever been. The winner of the airline was Alaska Airlines in 2021. This is data from Statsmetrics, who I really trust in this measure. The winner of it was not only the winner of airlines, it was almost the winner of the entire thing. People just loved airlines back then because that was freedom. See, you look at USAA, they're up there, man, they are doing something right. Breeze, that was our first year of operation. We were a 74. People loved us. People loved us because one, they weren't in their basement anymore. They got out. They were excited to get out. They also loved us because they never thought of being able to fly direct from New Orleans to Tulsa, from Providence, Rhode Island to Canton, Akron. From Providence, Rhode Island to Canton, Akron, Ohio. So they loved us. Are people always nice? How soon they forget that their basement sucked? Well, the next year, where did airlines go back to?
Wait.
Cool Airlines again, yay! But that is about where airlines have always been. We are down with cable providers, folks. That is the saddest part of my career, is to think that I'm down there, because nobody likes talking, interacting with cable providers on that side. The winner, Southwest. Can we pause there for 2 seconds? Anybody hear any news stories of Southwest in December? Anybody here? You scoffed. Tell me what you heard.
Canceled like so many flights during the holidays and just left people stranded.
Yeah, canceled so many. Southwest for years has been fantastic and done a lot of great things. I was talking to Professor Tanner on the way over here, talking about how tonight we're doing this big cutover to a software. Airlines historically haven't gained a ton of money over time, so you don't overly invest in technology. And so you have to find different ways. In Southwest, they caught up to there, where they had missed some opportunities to invest, and they got hurt really bad. My prediction, and any of you, I will buy you a flight on Breeze if you come back, if I'm wrong. I don't think Southwest is going to win this year because the press was that bad, and it was tough, and it's kind of unfair, to be honest with you. So, but they won at this point in time. That is what was that? A 13-point drop? No, 12-point drop. Just a 12-point drop. Did airlines forget how to be airlines? What happened with the guest expectation? Customer expectation? It had just risen, right? Because now you're no longer competing against your basement. You're past that. They're getting out there. Breeze was not immune to this. We dropped, our score dropped a lot. We introduced Transcon, the longer the flight. We don't have Wi-Fi on our planes yet. That's coming. It's not a part of that. So all these things are competing against us. Fortunately, those of us who've been in the industry long enough, we set our expectations around this, and we expected this to be about 55. So we were pleasantly surprised it was there. But guest expectations, due to nothing we had done, were just rising because the environment changed that drastically. So a little bit, for those of you who geek out about airplanes, why Breeze is going to be successful, why it's going to be really cool. If you see this aircraft in the bottom right, that aircraft holds less people and is smaller, but it can fly as far as Southwest's big aircraft that holds a ton of people. Now, why is that important? Because when a small aircraft can fly that far, it means it can take off on a shorter runway. And it can go further on that one. Not making any promises, but this aircraft can take off on a short Provo runway, and it can make it all the way to now. So that opens us up to whole different markets. But before, when we were just flying about this kind of aircraft, smaller, typical regional aircraft, you're limited to the distance which you can fly or the number of people that you can put on it. This aircraft is awesome. Have you been on this one yet? No, you've been on that. It's awesome. We've introduced our, what we call nice, nicer, and nicest seats. The nice seats, a little cramped to be honest. The nicer seats, if you're willing to pay a little bit more, plenty of legroom, and then the nicest seats actually are comparable to like a first class seat that goes there. I'm going to weave this in because you're all going to be the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. But finding a tool like this opened up the market for us to do a lot of what we wanted to do. Using the same exact tools that everybody else has used, there's another airline that launched about the same time as us, and they did what a typical airline launches does. Go find all the old aircraft that somebody else is done with. Let's start out there, we'll get going, we'll make a little bit of money, and then we'll invest in something new. This is something that David Neeleman has done powerfully, is find that leapfrog technology, differentiate yourself very early with that, and get going. And that's how we've had an opportunity to be successful starting off. So this is where we rank, if you're wondering, I've never heard about Ranking for but this Chubby guy came into our class and talked about it. It's because we're not out there very far. We're not out there compared to the great Satans over here to the left. I usually reserve that for the Yankees. I do not like the Yankees. I like the Red Sox. But we're small and growing, and Avelo was the other airline that launched at about the same exact time that we launched. And this is number of aircraft that we have actively and the type of aircraft that we have there. So one of the things we're really trying to differentiate is on this seriously nice and making it a reality in there. Our competition in a lot of these smaller cities are the airlines like Spirit and like Allegiant. Spirit and JetBlue are actually going through a merger recently. That's actually good for us because now we think we can win a lot against the Frontiers of the world and the Allegiants of the world on this exact point of seriously nice. Because we don't have to offer a very bare bone product and also spit in your face about it. We can offer a very simple product that gives you the opportunity to upcharge, pay a little bit more if you want to, and deliver it with a seriously nice approach. So a couple of our mantras that guide us every single day, in addition to our principles, are here because we're going to save a little time. We're going to go through this. It's important to know, and I just vented with my buddy actually on my drive here. Do you know in the canyon between Nephi and Moroni, it's hard to finish a phone call? Okay, just wondering, we missed that. Where's Verizon there, huh? Come on. So it is so important, especially as a new company, to know who you are. That's pretty important. I think it's almost more important, and Professor Shannon can tell me I'm wrong on this one, to know who you're not and not confuse yourself and distract yourself with some things to go chasing after. If Breeze was to put all of our focus right now, 100% into the greatest first-class cabin amenities, serving champagne on a platter, having butler style look to that would be really, really distracted to the company right now. Because we know our criteria is a mom and dad who are middle class with their 3 kids trying to get to Disney World, and they've saved up all their money to go to Disney World once a year. That's their trip, that's their single trip that they're going to. So if we put all of our focus into being something we're not, we would be really, really distracted. So we are trying to use these things to recenter us when we lose our way or when we think of challenges that we have, and make sure that what we're not is not getting much of our focus and not getting much of our attention there. So if you can find me in this picture, anybody find me in this picture, Clutch? Bottom right. Laying down.
Laying.
It's good. You see a few people wearing masks. This was our very first class of what we call our guest empowerment team, GET. And we've intentionally chosen not to call them customer service or customer support or that, but guest empowerment team members, to try to, with their very name, invoke some of those breaking of the traditions that airlines currently have, which is all anybody ever wants to at Delta is it's Delta Medallia, because then they have an 800 number that they answer in a half an hour instead of 2.5 hours. Does that not seem like chasing the worst goal in the world? How about no hold time at all? How about drop a text, go about your life, when the text comes back and it solves? Not a lot of this stuff that we're doing in the airline industry is life or death. Now, I'm not minimizing the fact that people have emergencies, they have emotions, they have concerns. But if we can solve the majority of the problems through a rational expectation of, hey, I need to change my seat. How do I do that? You send that text, you go back to studying, you go back to watching an episode of The Office, you go back to doing that. And then when that agent comes back to you and says, here's the link on exactly how you change your seat, we don't charge you to change your seat. So here's how you handle that. Did that have to be answered? 10 minutes? Does that have to be answered immediately? I don't think that has to be answered immediately. The person whose mom just passed away, who forgot their login, can't get the flight booked right now, that one is one we want to rise to the top. And so we've set our technology around hearing words like travel tomorrow and all that kind of stuff, because we live in technology. When somebody's on the phone, we don't know what their priorities are, what their urgencies are. Somebody text out and say, I have an emergency travel, need to go tomorrow, funeral, something like that. All those words prop it up to that. So let's think about some opportunities, because I'm selfish and thinking about the opportunities. So you've seen this airline. It's built on the back of an awesome aviation entrepreneur, and you got a chubby guy up here excited for you to be there. So working in the aviation industry is really cool. What do you think the number one perk is of working in the aviation industry? Vacations is 100%. Free flights. Your awesome professor told me on the way in that he took a job working for Delta to get the flight benefits. So many people do it. It's a great thing. I invite you to consider it. I think it's a very challenging opportunity to work in, and it's always needing new and fresh ideas to solve. We cannot solve today's problems the way we solved yesterday's problems. We just gotta move forward. So all you smart folks, we need you in the airline industry. So who is our GET team, and what have we done here to kind of disrupt this and try to disrupt this a little bit? Our attitude is guest empowerment, not guest service. Not the attitude of, let me take that problem from you, we will work it, and we will hand it back to you fixed. And we find that a guest feels more empowered and fixed, and they don't need to come back to us. Because the challenge with the other way, You put them on needing to come back to you all the time. And then you have these inefficient systems of always having to staff up to the next problem you haven't solved yet, instead of inviting guests to solve the problems that they can solve. So I'll probably go through this a little bit quickly to this experience, and I want your feedback. This is how we're going to spend the last 7 minutes on this one. So this came in, if you read at the top, forget that you can see the lady's name because I forgot, or man's name, who knows? There. Anybody feel about dealing with the emotion of, I missed my flight from LAX tonight? Anybody feel with that emotion? Put yourself in that emotion. How does it feel? Sucks. Any other emotions? Feel great? Anybody think that feels great? No. Okay. How do you feel? Now I'm going to be vulnerable. How do you feel about this auto reply that came milliseconds after the person texts? What are we trying to do? What is Breeze trying to do here? Trying to narrow in on something. Who likes options versus hates having options when it comes to anything? Food, a day, the person you're going to kiss, who you're going to get in line with at Badger Night, whatever it's called. Who likes options versus who doesn't like options? Options are nice? Okay, thank you. We are trying to, and our technology isn't perfected, we're about to get better. We're trying to give them some options to let them feel more in control and be more in control. If that one comes in on a phone call, you can go and Google any of the stuff, what hold times for airlines are right now. Since the pandemic, it came down. They're just horrible. But that poor person stewing with, I missed my flight, now I'm waiting on hold for up to 2 hours. It's just not a good place for them. It's not a good place for the airline. But in milliseconds, for them to have a choice, another option. Now, what do they still, so their flight changed, sorry. What might they have done? What might you have chosen if you get the emotion away? What might you have chosen here? If you missed your flight. This is a test.
Maybe some more route.
Support. Route. Support.
I said modify.
You said modify. You are the winner. What does she really need?
New flight.
She needs a new flight, or she needs her money back from that flight to do it. It's something on the modify. You went to support, you're not failures in life. I love you still. But the support, the airlines have conditioned you to, I need to get to somebody to solve this for me. I can't solve this myself. I can't fix it. She, she thought like you. Support. Not just one time, 2 times. I've got to get this support. When she says support, we are admitting that, by the way, Southwest wasn't the only one that had a tough winter time. We were having a little bit tough time there too. But we give her this more focused area and says, okay, you're choosing to wait for somebody. It's going to be a bit. If she would have chosen modify, she would have got a link immediately, and she would have gone in there and she could have modified. She could have modified it herself. But we're doing this. And then who came to the rescue? This is my message up there. No, I'm the first flight agent she has. I jump on with my team when things get really bad. And I'm going through and I'm giving her some facts that say she can do it. We don't charge a change fee because again, airlines have conditioned, if I ever have to modify, it's going to cost me more than what my fare was. I don't want to do that. I'll just ask for support and I'll tell them a sob story. I missed it because the tire blew up. I was saving the queen, was about to go under a bus, and so you should let me out of this on time. I've heard almost that exact story. But I give some information there. That was an answer that we get asked this enough. That's an answer that's easy for me to find. Just give it to that one. And then she gives a little bit more information. And then I give her that link that allows her to modify and do it. What does she still think she needs? Who does she think she's talking to, or what does she think she's talking with? Has she clicked on that link? We know she hasn't clicked on a link because we know by studying it, after the people click on that link, it is exactly 30 seconds after that they get what they want. The longest person we've ever seen was 45 seconds. If they click on that link, everything she's asking for is right there. A whole new world. I don't know why that song came from. But what does she still think she has to have? Support. live support. So pretend like you didn't see the first part up there. See my response. Not as many laughs as I thought I was gonna get. That's good. But what do we see on the top that she actually finally did? She clicked on that link and she canceled it. If I were able to click on that little carrot right there, you'd see that you pulled down that she got all of her money back, every single bit of her money back, and it was available because it was her mistake. She got it by way of points to use on a future Breeze flight. What do you see at the very bottom?
She made one.
She made that other booking. She doesn't even highlight the fact that I called myself fat. That hurts my feelings. But she doesn't even do that. She's now finally self-serving and doing it herself. I can't remember if I did, this is a different one that just a gentleman said nice things about me, so I put that on there. But if you were to see the rest of it, the whole rest of her travel experience, she's traveled with us 3 more times, and all you ever see is her interacting with technology and solving herself, adjusting her own flights, changing and stuff like that. Might have been very emotional and painful for her at the first moment. When she tried it, when she learned this, when she recognized that not every airline is trying to teach her exactly the way she has to get things solved, there's a new way to get it solved. We can do that. So, thank you. Find new ways to solve old problems. I don't know what else your awesome professor is going to teach you, but please find new ways to solve old problems, and you'll do just fine the rest of your life. Okay. 10 minutes. Questions? Is
Time
that
for maybe one question?
one question? Okay. Any questions? Sorry, I'm supposed to say more time about it. Please.
Where do you think this airline will be in 10 years?
I think this airline will be in 10 years. I think it will have 125 cities that we will fly. I think we'll be flying internationally by then. Flying to, again, smaller cities in destinations that are hard to get to versus, I don't think Cancun necessarily. We might fly to Cancun, but there are tons of little places close to Cancun that people actually fly to Cancun and go to. And so I think we'll be there. I think we'll have 80 of those aircraft that we have, the A220s, and I think my stock will have done very well. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to guest speak all the time. But you were asking about the airline, but I told you what I wanted.
You guys will be traded.
We are not publicly traded. We want to get there.
It's JetBlue.
I need to get there. JetBlue is publicly traded.
They're going through a merger right now.
They're acquiring Spirit. Yeah. Which is good for them with the assets they're going to get. It's going to be tough for them culturally to blend those two cultures. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Danny.
thank you.